my fellow rushers. How are you doing today? KingRex here, and today we're continuing on with Kingdom Rush Frontiers hero reviews, and now we're getting up to the $5 category, and there's quite a lot of heroes that cost $5 in this game, so let's get on with it, shall we? Today we're gonna talk about the big boy, the big chungus if you want to. We're talking about Grawl.
Let there be rock!
And this guy is obviously really tanky. I mean, look at this health. 9 whopping 100. That's by far the most health out of any hero. Medium armor, 50% to be more correct, which is quite a lot of armor. And his damage 24 to 37. Now that's not bad, that's pretty okay amount of damage. I would say it's kind of in the middle. However, it's with a slow attack rate, so yeah, he's not gonna be punching people really fast. And speaking of not being fast, his mobility is by far the worst in this game, so yeah, that's another negative. And another negative, yeah, I know I'm starting with the negatives already, but his health regeneration is only 30 per second. And would you look at that? With 900 health, it's gonna take him quite a while to regenerate, and combining that with his slow mobility, you get a recipe for disaster once he gets to really low health. And you kinda have to keep him up at one spot, and you'll see why in a minute. But before that, let's talk about his abilities first. Now, how does he have 900 health? Well, it's thanks to this ability, Hard Rock. Alright then, I can get over it. I mean, even without it, 600 health is a pretty decent amount of health, so getting even more than that, that's ridiculous, so you know what, I don't mind this one at all. I'll just let him have it. The next one, which is, you know, starting off with the actual abilities, we have Boulder Throw. This one is not too bad of an ability. It's pretty decent. It has 10 seconds cooldown, so you can use it pretty often. And on top of that, he also does 100 damage to the enemy that he's targeting. And it also has splash damage, or I suppose group damage, to be more correct. Well, honestly, not much to say about this one. It's a pretty nice projectile to have. And I believe it also targets flying enemies, which, you know, it's pretty decent. And the range for it is not too bad, so pretty good ability all around. The next one is also pretty nice. Stomp.
It's clobbering time!
This one is not really describing, but basically he hits the ground 8 times, and each time he hits the ground he deals 16 or 18 damage. I'm pretty sure it was 18 damage. And that's not bad. And he also slows down enemies, and he has a chance to stun them, but he's not gonna stun them every single time. It's a chance thing, I suppose. And I'm not sure about the exact chance amount, you know, how often it can occur, but it seems to be happening for the most part. For the most part, you're gonna be getting enemies stunned near you, which is pretty nice. And again, 15 seconds cooldown is pretty good. Like, I don't mind this ability. It's pretty good, just like the boulder. Pretty good all around. The next one is one of the reason why I was telling you that you don't need to move him all that much. Bastion. This one is pretty darn interesting. And I said it's the reason why you don't really wanna move him all that much. It's because whenever he stays on one spot and you're not moving him for a while, as you can see, he has this aura around him. Let me just move him up a little bit. And this aura basically is his damage boost. As you can see, now his damage is 42 to 55, which is pretty solid damage. And basically the bonus goes up and up, you know, until it caps, but you don't have to move him. However, you can move him. Alright, I guess you can move him, but just a little bit, you know. Look at that. Only moving him a little bit of the distance, you know, it doesn't go away. But however, if you move it to like here, the damage boost goes away. And you have to camp him in one spot in order to regain the damage boost. It's not instantaneous though. He's gonna be slowly getting some extra damage until it caps. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting passive ability. I like his mechanic where you just have to scan one spot, and it kind of makes sense because, you know, he's really slow, but as I mentioned before, with his slower generation, it could be a little bit problematic in some of the harder levels. But still, getting damage boost just by sitting on one spot is a pretty nice thing to have. And last but not least, he also has a pretty interesting ability, Sharp Punch. This one is pretty decent as well. You know, just 180 true damage. By the way, yeah, it is true damage. And he has 30% chance of an insta-kill someone if the target has triple his health. You know, it's pretty good. Sure, it's 30%. Like, 30% is not a lot of chance, but I would say it's a decent amount. You know, it can happen pretty often, depending on how long it is. I'm not sure about the cooldown. I think it was like 15, maybe a little bit more than that, but I'm pretty sure it was like 15 seconds or so, which is not bad at all. Like, that's a pretty useful one. And yeah, other than that, I don't know. Grawl is kind of in a weird spot for me. I kind of like him, but at the same time, judging by by his performance here in the post game, there are two completely different pictures. So yeah, unfortunately I will give Grawl only an 8 out of 10. He's pretty decent, I get it, he is pretty bulky and all, but the slow mobility is kinda killer depending on some levels. And keep in mind that you have to keep him in one spot to get the bonus. And if an enemy gets by him, you're probably not gonna catch up to him, you have to use reinforcements or other means of stalling. I mean, sure, if you have like someone really slow, like we're talking about brute level slowness, yeah, maybe to them he can catch up, but for the most part, nah, just no. And again, the main issue that I have with him is mostly his regeneration. It's very slow. In comparison to the other heroes, it's pretty low. And if you have to move, and again, you don't want to move him around a lot because, you know, you want him to stay on one spot to get the extra damage boost. But again, unfortunately, at one point he's gonna get damaged enough and you have to move him. I mean, here it's not gonna happen because, you know, we don't have a lot of tough enemies, but on some of the harder levels, it's gonna be a little bit more tricky to get him. So yeah, that's my opinion on Grawl. Should you buy him? Yeah, if you like him, go for it. He's not my personal favorite, but hey, for you it might be. So yeah guys, well, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future. And while you're at it, drop a like on the video. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.